Programming is sponsored by Marc J. Bernstein. The views expressed do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group. Entrepreneur, founder, author, and financial advisor Marc Bernstein helps high-performing business owners turn their visions into reality. Through his innovative work and the Forward Focus Forums, Marc connects entrepreneurs to resources that fuel their success. Founders Forum is a radio show and podcast where entrepreneurs share their journeys, revealing the lessons they've learned and the stories behind their success. Join Marc and his guests for a mix of inspiration, valuable insights, and a little fun. Now, let's dive in.
Good morning, America. How are you? I've got to adjust my controls here. Good morning. We have Dr. V in the studio. We've got Graham in the studio. Good morning to everybody.
Good morning.
And I always say, good morning, America. How are you? It's a song, you know, it's from the train they call the city of New Orleans, and it's a TV show, and it sounds like good morning, Vietnam. But I really mean, how are you, America? How are you all doing out there? Because I'm concerned. Things are changing in such a rapid way. Some, if you're going to be subjective about it, good, some not so good, but things are changing rapidly. So I'm just thinking a lot about how everyone's doing. So I wish we could talk about it in depth, but that's not really what the show's about. So although we get into some of those subjects as we go along. We always have a topic of the day, and mostly always have a topic of the day. And today it's sustainability, and you'll know why soon. But I want to just ask you, and I'll ask you, Dr. V, first, and then I'll ask our guest, Graham. And what does sustainability mean to you when you think about that? Because I'm not sure everyone uses the word the same way.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Marc, for just thinking about us and asking us how we feel. I feel great today, so that counts for something. Sustainability is, to me, looking at a higher level of consciousness around how we can better manage economic growth, innovation, and social causes.
So it's much broader than people think of climate, and
it's balancing
and the
out
earth.
everything.
It's all of that. Yeah, so I like that. And Graham, I'll introduce you in a second, but what does it mean to you?
Well, as an engineer and an air conditioning consultant for 40, 50 years.
Now I don't have to do your introduction.
And sustainability to me means a building and a facility and a city that is sustainable energy-wise and total zero energy and also non-toxic. We've got enough plastic going around the world already, and I'm going to make more plastic, but recyclable plastic.
So I love that we got the literal translation of sustainability as it regards the climate and the earth, and I love that we also got the holistic interpretation of it. Yeah. I think you guys covered all the ground. I have nothing to add to that, so that's great.
You agree.
So Graham Graham is Grahame Maisey, and Maisey or Maisey?
Depends on where you're from.
Okay. Grahame Maisey or Maisey is a highly trained British heating, ventilating, and air conditioning engineer who had 15 years experience in the UK and over 47 years experience in the U.S. in energy conservation and conversation in buildings. Yeah. He's conducted reviews and lectures at architects and engineers' offices, and he has LinkedIn articles. If you want to look him up, it's Maisey, Maisey, and he responds to LinkedIn threads concerning HVAC and building performance. I'll just give you a little more background. When I first talked to Graham, I said, he's of retirement age for most people, and we were talking about his career, and it sounded to me like it was kind of over. And I said, well, I don't know if there's a show here because we're always talking about the future. And he goes, wait a second. And the wait a second is what's having me do the show, because I thought it was really fascinating. So I won't give it away now, but we'll talk about it when we get into his future vision. But let's just start a little bit about your experience and what you learned and how you got to where you are today, Graham.
Well, it's been a long road. I was born just after the Second World War in Leicester, England. Mm-hmm. The youngest of 5 children.
Leicester spelled Leicester, right? But it's pronounced Leicester.
An old Roman town, yeah.
Yep.
And I went to college there and got a degree in mechanical engineering. And then I went to Glasgow, Scotland at Strathclyde University to get a degree, one of the first actually, to get a degree in environmental control engineering, which was a fancy word for saying, a fancy way for saying heating, ventilating and air conditioning and lighting. In other words, building systems, building energy systems. Mm-hmm. So I was one of the first to get a degree in that. And,
Interesting.
And then worked for many consultants in England and the UK and did work in Europe. And then Jimmy Carter brought me over here. 78, part of the energy conservation movement from the oil embargoes and crises. And we were just so fortunate. We instrument tested over 120 hospitals in Philadelphia, Cleveland, and Chicago. It was like a double PhD in how buildings work. It was amazing.
By the way, I need to say, so Jimmy Carter brought you here, but what kept you here?
I'm a fly fisherman.
That's what I wanted to get. Yeah.
And I came here in the middle of February, and in the middle of March, I went to Phoenixville Hospital, and near there was a hole-in-the-wall fly shop. And I walked in and said, "Is there any fly fishing around here?" And the guy sat me down and told me about the world-class fly fishing, trout fishing in Pennsylvania, and the huge carp in the Delaware River, and the big bass in the Atlantic there on the coast. And I thought, wow, this is a place to stay.
And you never left, right?
I've never left. I actually started a little fly fishing business of my own, my hobby gone wrong, as I call it.
So Grahame is in the Philadelphia area now.
Yeah. Jenkintown way, yeah.
And I'll just mention, then you met Beverly, who's in the studio with us today.
Met my wife, Beverly, a northeast Philly girl. And we've raised 3 gorgeous children, and they're flown the nest. They're in the 30s. Independent almost. Yep. Which is great.
Yep. Mine too.
Yeah.
30s, almost independent is the way I would call it. Yeah, it's great.
Almost.
Well, except when they need something. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Got it. So I understand that one. So you had a job when you came here.
Yeah.
And that evolved over time. Tell us about that.
Well, 1980. Reagan got into power, and that's when the energy conservation business took a dive. I doubled down on it. I thought, this is important. I've been following climate change since I started university in '67. So this was something that was serious.
You knew the field wasn't going away.
It's not going away. Global warming, climate change is not going away. It's getting worse, and that's obviously proved true. So I doubled down on it, and I started my own company. My wife joined me. My partner, we did same old stuff. We did energy conservation studies and reports, and then designs. I actually did the central chiller design for the old Civic Centre in Philly, the one that's gone now. Yeah. I did the boiler design for the city. Prisons, I saved them over $2 million a year in energy costs just by changing. And then we carried on. We reinvented total quality commissioning, which was how to select and size the correct system. And then what changed our life in a real big way was we went to a hospital, 350,000 square foot hospital in Lancaster County. And they just had a facility master plan done, which is a 30-year plan. And they asked us to dovetail our report into that. So I did a 30-year plan where I replaced a lot of the systems and basically saved about 70% because they got all new lighting systems, new energy systems.
70% of energy costs.
70%. But that wasn't the story that it needed. So afterwards, I took it on myself to actually start developing the system. And that was in 92. By 1995, we developed our energy master plan, which we start by developing the process, which was backcasting. So you start with the end result, what you need, and that's where you work towards with what you have. And that was a key thing. Everybody uses it that is successful, no matter what they do, whether it's energy, politics, or whatever. If you start with your end goals and work towards them, you'll get there.
Right.
So for your work, has it been you independently, or has there been a team or a group working with you?
It's been basically me.
That's amazing.
Well, we've got a lot of experience. I mean, I had a lot of experience in England. I got so much experience, instrument testing, all these hospitals and universities. I mean, I knew HVAC systems and lighting systems inside out, better than the manufacturers, better than the maintenance staff, because I knew what was working and what they wanted. I tested it. So it was different. So we had the ability to do this. But the big thing with the energy master plan was the HVAC system. That was a huge roadblock in the way to go into zero energy. So that moved us along, and that started our search for a zero energy HVAC system.
Which is your vision for the future?
That's
it's zero net energy. I want
not
to say.
net energy.
Zero energy.
Zero energy.
So explain that. How do you get to zero energy?
Well, you get to zero energy by using developing electricity, generating electricity more than you actually use, so you can sell it back to the grid.
Well, that's what I meant by net energy. You're still using energy, but your costs are zero ultimately, right? Is what you're saying.
You're actually making money.
Right,
You're selling electricity
right.
back to the grid because you're producing more than you use. That electricity amount needs to cover what I consider the rest of the energy of the building, which is the transport energy of the occupants, the food energy of the occupants, if there is any. And that is what you need to generate to sell back. And that would repay what the energy use is.
So it's like a version of, so I live in the first, part-time in Florida, in the first solar power community in America.
Okay.
And it's essentially what they're doing. They've got over 800,000 solar panels.
Yeah.
And they're selling all the excess energy back to Florida Power and Light.
Right.
And so it's the same concept, but you're doing this without solar power.
There's solar power.
Oh, it is solar power.
Yeah,
it is solar power.
You need to generate the electricity from something.
Got it.
But what you need to do first is minimize the electricity use.
Right.
And that's where the air conditioning systems are the problem. They use an awful amount of electricity, and they have the peak electricity in the summer, causing brownouts and blackouts. And then you have the peak fuel, fossil fuel use in the winter if it's not electric. So that's what you've got to stop. You've got to stop that use.
So the appeal to business obviously is zero cost, but the side effect of that and sustainability is clean air conditioning. Correct?
Clean renewables, all clean renewables.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you actually the building owner is actually making money really from the clean renewables they've invested in. But the important thing is to minimise the use for a start, and we've saved 90% of what the electrical use would be.
And so that would translate into the homeowner as well, saving those costs?
Oh yes.
Okay.
It's the same thing for the homeowner. You can put a 20 kilowatt array in, and you'll be selling most of it back to the grid rather than using it, and that would pay for your car, your electric car. It would pay for the food.
So this is actually a perfect jumping off point for a quick commercial for 1 minute, and we'll be right back on Founders Forum.
Tired of high electric bills from your air conditioning? Fed up with extortionate maintenance bills? Longing for better comfort conditions? NEMCO LDAC cuts your heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and maintenance costs by 90%. We also optimize your comfort and supply sterilized air to make you the most comfortable, very healthy, and at last, safe in your building. Traditional systems have power-hungry electric compressors, but NEMCO LDAC delivers better comfort without them. Our case studies show savings of over $3,500 a year for a 2,000 square foot home and $500,000 a year for a 150,000 square foot hospital. NEMCO LDAC doesn't just save lots of money, it creates the very best indoor environmental quality air for your home or building. Our system eliminates 99.95% of airborne pathogens, germs, and allergens, sterilizing the air while maintaining perfect humidity and temperature levels year-round. Whether it's dry winters, humid summers, or year-round allergies, NEMCO LDAC's patented technologies create the healthiest and safest indoor environment and spectacularly cut your energy and maintenance bills. Ready to revolutionize your heating and air conditioning? Visit NEMCOLDAC.com to learn more and take control of your comfort and pocketbook.
We are back on Founders Forum, and we're having a conversation offline, and let's continue it. Dr. V, you had a question for Grahame.
Yes, so for the average everyday person who's a homeowner, what they want to know is, how is this going to impact my electric bill? And so my question was, are you saying that the 90% savings will be a direct savings on my electric bill? Is that what the consumer should know?
Yes.
If they invest in this? Okay.
That's what they should know. And most people that would do this would put in, let's say, a 20 kilowatt solar power thing, and that would be much more than they need. So they'll actually be selling electricity back to the grid, even though they're using it for their electric cars. They could be charging their cars as well, but they could still be selling it back to the grid. The idea is to be zero, and that includes every form of energy.
Did you say cars?
Yeah, I mean electric car. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Well, I could interject. I have an electric car, so I plug it in at night to recharge.
Yeah.
But if my house is running on solar power, ultimately it's solar power with air conditioning system that is much more efficient than what I have today.
Yeah.
I'm plugging into that. My net energy bill is zero at the end of the day because of what I'm selling back, which means my car, which today I already pay about a third of what I would pay for gas, now I'm paying zero because I'm plugging into a system that's costing me nothing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
You're actually going to be producing more electricity than you use for your car, because I include food, I include construction energy, so that's another thing. So you're basically producing 5 to 10 times what your building uses, so you can run your car and still sell more back to the grid.
By the way, a quick commercial, because I neglected to introduce Dr. V. If you heard her show already, you know who she is. But let me just tell you, she's visiting from Jacksonville, Florida, and she's founder and CEO of the Center for Confidence and Full Confidence RX. Listen to her show and you'll know much more about her. So I just want to make sure we got that. And you have another question.
Yes. So now that you have me, so I'm ready to buy. So what is the timeline for, building out this product and it being available to businesses and individuals to use?
We're launching the company in October. That's our plan right now. It might spread into early November. We're launching the company, getting all the lawyer stuff done.
And what is the name of the company?
NEMCO LDAC.
Okay.
That's Nature's Energy Machine Company.
I love that.
Liquid desiccant air conditioning.
I love that.
So I like Nature's Energy Machine. That's because we're working with nature rather than applying brute force against it.
Okay. So we're
system.
weeks out of having this company formed and the products available
Well, the products will be available in the spring. So we're
Thank
going to manufacturers. We're establishing manufacturers all over the world straight away, because residential people want that in their house desperately.
Well, I know you want to buy the system, but we need to finish the business story,
yes.
so we could talk more offline where you'll be able to buy it.
Yeah.
But so just a little background. When I first talked to Grahame, and he's told me a story about his career, and he had this vision for the future, but it sounded like that was the end of the story. And I was like, I don't know if that's right for our show. So Grahame, it doesn't mind me saying, he's 78 years old, but he's just getting going in a lot of ways. So because he's got this vision, right? And let's talk about how you're going to execute that, which involves family members as well.
Yeah, well, my son-in-law and daughter in Germany are both engineers, both professional engineers. And my son-in-law in particular, he was an air conditioning consultant in Egypt. And he designed ground source heat pumps as an air conditioning consultant, which is our direct competition. And so he saw what we were doing and said, he wants to be part of it. He wants to sell these. And he's a better salesman than I am. So they'll be handling Europe.
Oh, that's where the sales comes in. We're talking about, gotcha.
They'll be handling Europe and the Middle East from Germany.
So this is a perfect time to ask you about your future vision, because that's why you're here, because you have a future vision. So this is August of 2025. If we're talking in August of 28 and looking back on the last 3 years, what would have to happen, Grahame, in your vision, in your life? It could be anything you want, but obviously a lot of this is around this new business. What does that look like?
Well,
what will have happened?
Previous companies have moved to get 25% of the business within 3 years when it's been a huge jump like this. So if we get that in 3 years globally, we'll be doing anywhere between $20 to $100 billion a year, our manufacturers. We expect to be getting a very small percentage of that for licensing our patents.
You're licensing the technology.
Yeah, we're licensing the technology to probably maybe 100 manufacturers throughout the world, and they'll be doing the manufacturing. We'll have the experienced engineers that go around and supervise quality control, make sure the quality is still there, because we still have a responsibility, although it would be theirs. We have a responsibility to make sure the manufacturers are doing the job. So
the vision is to have licensed to 100 or so active manufacturers worldwide, of which collectively they'll be doing $20 to $100 billion of business, which tells you what a large opportunity in industry
it's a huge industry, and it's been stagnated for the last 50 years, 60
I wanted
years.
to ask you about that. We were talking offline about how old the technology is that's out there. Tell us about that for a second.
Well, I actually worked for the chap that did the first ground source heat pump, Bob Worden. He's in Elkins Park, Pennsylvania. He worked for York Air Conditioning during the Second World War and afterwards, and he put in ground source heat pumps then. I worked for him, and he's called Mr. Heat Pump. And I did a research project for Oak Ridge National Laboratory comparing heat pumps with an annual cycle energy system. So I'm very well aware of how they work and their problems. And the problems is they don't provide the comfort that you need. They don't provide sterilized air, which is a topic on its own. We need sterilized air.
My first home, by the way, was a heat pump system, and they said this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And
yeah, absolutely.
In terms of efficiency, even I didn't even see it as that at the time. But
it's very efficient. Ground source heat pumps are very efficient, especially in this area, because we've got 55-degree Fahrenheit soil.
Okay.
So it's perfect for cooling and warming. We got perfect.
Efficient, but
not as efficient as we need. They've still got a compressor, and they've still got filters that block the air, and so they've got big fans, big pumps, compressors. Our system has tiny fans and tiny pumps and no compressor. So we use...
How do you, because that's all I know in air conditioning, you have compressors. What do you use in place of the compressor?
Well, we're using a liquid desiccant, which is a brine. So the way you condition the air is you concentrate the brine, you put it into air across it, and it sucks the moisture out of the air. And you get twice as much moisture removal as you do with a normal air conditioning system. So it controls the humidity directly by its concentration.
How do you make the brine? That's just real quick.
It's just a salt that you make.
Gotcha.
And that lasts forever. You just recycle it.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I'm curious. I'm trying to put this in layman's terms mentally. So if I were to compare this to telephone technology, so we have cell phones now. We came from landline phones. How would that compare to the technology for air conditioning units?
This compares with a circular dial-up to the latest Apple.
Right. So we only got a couple of minutes left, guys. Couple things because you we've got notes going around in the studio. So
yeah, we're comparing it to lightning on our side.
Lightning.
Lighting. How would it compare to lighting technology?
Well, that's true. Lighting technology had really changed over the last 60 years from incandescent to fluorescent to LED. So they've reduced the electrical use by 90%. They've increased the life cycle by 50 times. And they've made higher quality lighting systems. So we're in comparison, we're going really from the equivalent of incandescent to the LED. That's what we've done with our system.
But it shows that air conditioning's pretty behind lighting at this point.
It's a 125-year-old technology. Yes, Carrier started it in 1903.
Amazing. We only have less than 2 minutes left. Did you have a quick one? No, okay.
I'm stumped on the time.
It's okay. Okay,
the air conditioning technology is so far behind.
You're just
the air conditioning technology is so crude.
Synopsis.
Quick question for you, because what you're doing is major work. It's going to change the world.
Oh yeah.
If you, given that and looking back, if you could speak to your younger self, this is a question you wanted to be asked. What advice would you give you? What would you do? What would you have done differently?
Be more brave. I was not as a brave person as I should have been. I have my wife to thank for that. She said, "You could do it." And until she said that, I thought, I'm just an engineer. And she said, "No, you're not an engineer. You're a really good engineer. You're a great engineer." Yeah. And
Beverly's been quiet, but I knew she was the power behind this deal.
She's a woman behind the man, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you're talking about confidence and the courage that comes with that.
Yes.
So she gave you
absolutely,
what you needed for that. Talk to us a little bit about the synopsis that you have behind this technology.
Uh-huh. Well,
we're just about out of time, so I'm not even sure we have time for that.
So they can get more information.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Turn over to you, Mark.
So look up Grahame Maisey. How will they find you? Find.
I'm on email. My email is all messed up right now with the corporations, but my direct email is grahamemaisey@gmail.com.
There you go. Contact Graham directly. Yeah. So thanks again. We'll bring our music back really quick, and thank you all for being here today on Founders Forum, and wish you a great week, and we'll look forward to talking to you again next week on Founders Forum. Have a great day.
Thank you, Mark. You have a great day as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed your time with Founders Forum and that you found value to take with you throughout your day. Join us again next week for another episode of Founders Forum on WXKB 1039 HD2.